back to work after a nice Christmas, New Year break, and suddenly they have to hit the ground running because it's just awash with people seeking information on how to separate from their previously loved partners. And we're talking now to a gentleman by the name of Frank Carroll, the founder of lovelawr.com.au, which is a free consultation on family law site. Good morning to you, Frank. How are you?
Good morning, Sally. I'm great.
Now, why is it, apart from the obvious reason I should imagine everyone would think, okay, you've just gone through the whole traumatic holiday thing where you've had the family together and you've had the kids back over and they're, the in-laws, and which can be incredibly stressful for any relationship. But are there any other mitigating factors as to why this is so incredibly busy time of the year for divorce inquiries?
I think in Queensland it's usually a period of hot weather. There's a bit too much grog, a bit too much pressure, and that includes financial pressure because some people go overboard on buying of Christmas presents and holiday resorts and so on. And we've just found over the years that it's a time when it should be a happy time of renewal and recreation, but ends up being a very stressful and even traumatic time.
Incredibly, you're reported as saying that you've noticed this trend for early January for the last 30 years, so it's not something that's a new phenomenon.
No, well, the weather doesn't change much, although we've had a pretty mild December this time, but the weather doesn't change much, people don't change, and it's a festive season where, as we said, people get together, people get too close sometimes, and while they can work and live together during the year, a fortnight or so, together with some in-laws, just makes an unhappy mix and puts too much stress on their relationship. And
do you find that even though you're getting a massive amount of inquiries, do a lot of them sort of like go away, think it over and then decide that maybe it's not the best idea to actually break up after all?
We've found over the years, and I particularly always refer people to counselling or encourage them to consider that possibility as a serious matter, because divorce is not cheap. It ends up being costly in monetary terms and emotionally. Some do go away. Some might come back next year when they've had the final straw or a repeat episode, if you like. We've established Love Law so that people can go to that interactive website, go through the questionnaires, they can deal with the sorts of issues that are troubling them. Sometimes they find an answer in their own self-examination, if you like, as they answer the questions. Mm-hmm. If it gets worse, or if they find that really they do need to see a lawyer, or the problem's too serious to mend, then there's a referral there to many of our professional partners, and people find it a cheaper and easier way to get some help.
It's quite interesting. That site, again, of course, is lovelawr.com.au for people who perhaps are considering... I can understand wanting to divorce the in-laws after the Christmas sort of New Year break, but not necessarily your partner.
Well, whether the people are married or in a de facto relationship, and that includes same-sex relationships, they sometimes just need to talk through the issues with a lawyer, and a realistic family lawyer will certainly advise them of the emotional cost, the monetary cost, and our job is to help them get what they appear to need, and sometimes they don't quite know what they need. It's the job of a professional person, a lawyer experienced in family law, to help them get their life back on track. That's all we hope to do.
And that's very, very, interesting. And you're saying that, of course, people going, okay, well, that's it, I've had enough, I'm walking out. But they don't realise the full ramifications of what that does involve from not only a monetary point of view, but also that emotional point of view.
Yes. Well, the Love Law site questionnaires help them work through some of those issues. And I dare say some folk who go through the questionnaires end up saying, wow, this is more complex than I thought. Perhaps I'd better rethink this. Perhaps I'd better go see a counsellor. Perhaps I'd just better talk to my partner. Too often, relationships break up because people don't talk, and they get into the habit of not talking and end up using lawyers' letters as spears across the fence, as it were, to try and sort things out.
The lack of communication is definitely a major problem with that. So maybe just sit down and talk to your partner and tell them what is not making you happy at the moment.
It really is important, Sally, for people to turn off the telly, turn off the other distractions and say, hey, what is important? You're important. I've spent some time with you. We have children, or we don't have children, or we've got other relatives. And just think of the wider implications. We as family lawyers often see people who just don't count the cost until it's too late.
Frank, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and a great website too. Frank Carroll, the founder of lovelaw.com.au. Beat the statistics if you're having problems with your relationship at the moment. Maybe jump onto that website and sit down and have a coffee and a chat with your partner and plan to holiday somewhere that the in-laws won't be next year. It's 18 minutes to 10, Brisbane's own 1116 4BC.